When I was 19 and living with my parents in California, USA, my mom and dad often worked long hospital shifts, and during those hours a Pakistani boy named Ayan used to work at our home, quietly doing chores, never speaking much at first, until one rainy day when I slipped on the porch and he rushed to catch me, and from that moment something soft and unexpected began between us. Small conversations turned into deep ones. Laughter filled the house, and slowly, without either of us planning it, we fell into a pure and gentle love that lasted silently for 2 beautiful years, always respectful, always innocent, always hidden, and though he often warned me that one day he might have to leave my world, I never took it seriously until one morning he didn't show up, didn't answer calls. And by evening I found his backpack at our door with a letter saying my parents had discovered our relationship and quietly asked him to leave to protect me, and that he wasn't worthy of my world but hoped one day he would be. His disappearance shattered me. But a year later, scrolling through Facebook, I saw a picture of him in New York wearing a university ID with a caption saying, "For the girl who believed in me, I kept my promise." And even though he didn't mention my name, I knew the message was for me, that he hadn't left out of rejection, but out of sacrifice, and our love story wasn't destroyed. It was simply waiting for the right time to return. A year after discovering Ayan's picture from New York, my life had changed, but my heart hadn't, because every day I still carried the weight of our unfinished love. And one chilly evening in Times Square during a family trip, while my parents took photos near the giant billboards, I suddenly froze as I spotted a familiar figure across the crowd. Ayan, standing with a backpack and textbooks in his arms, looking more confident, more mature. And when his eyes met mine, the entire noisy city seemed to fall silent. He walked toward me slowly, almost afraid I might vanish again, and he whispered, "I told you I'd come back better," while my parents watched in confusion, not knowing the truth, and I told him everything I had buried, how I read his letter 100 times, how I cried for months, how I searched for him everywhere, and he told me he left not because he wasn't worthy, but because he wanted to return as someone my parents would be proud to accept. Just as we stood there, my dad walked up, asking who he was, and Ayan, instead of hiding like before, looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Sir, I'm the boy who left your house 2 years ago, but I came back educated, stable, and ready to earn your respect." And the honesty in his voice shocked my parents, leaving them speechless as the New York lights glowed around us. And in that moment, I realized our story hadn't ended with heartbreak. It had only paused until destiny brought us back to the same place, same timing, and same heart we had never truly let go. A full year after seeing Ayan's picture from New York, life moved forward, but my heart never healed, because some people don't leave your memory even if they leave your life. And everything changed the day my parents took me to New York for a work conference, where the busy lights of Times Square surrounded us, and suddenly I saw him, Ayan, standing across the street holding books, looking stronger, more confident. And the moment his eyes met mine, he stopped breathing just like I did. He walked toward me slowly, as if afraid the moment wasn't real, and when he finally stood in front of me, he whispered, "I kept my promise. I became worthy of you." And before I could reply, my parents approached, confused, until Ayan gathered all his courage and said, "Sir, I'm the boy who left your home because you feared our relationship, but I returned as a scholar, with a future, and with nothing but respect for your daughter." And his honesty shook my parents completely, leaving them silent as the city lights flickered above us. My mom looked at me, then at him, realizing the pain her decision had caused, and finally she sighed deeply and said, "If 2 years of distance couldn't separate you both, maybe this is not a mistake." And those words unlocked everything we had lost. Ayan took my hands and tears filled his eyes as he said, "I didn't leave you. I left to build a life for us, and for the first time in years, I felt whole again. Knowing our love wasn't a secret anymore, but something strong enough to survive distance, silence, and time. And right there in the heart of New York, our story didn't just continue. It found its true ending, not in heartbreak, but in a new beginning written by destiny itself. Months after my parents accepted Ayan, our relationship finally felt peaceful, Until one stormy evening in New York when Ian didn't show up for our usual weekend dinner, and after calling him repeatedly with no answer, I rushed to his apartment only to find the door slightly open, his books scattered on the floor, and his phone buzzing on the table, something he would never leave behind. And my heart dropped as I realized something was terribly wrong. I called the police in panic, but while they searched the building, I noticed a letter under his notebook with my name on it, written in Ian's handwriting but trembling and uneven, and when I opened it, the message stunned me. "If you're reading this, it means they found me. Don't trust anyone." And before I could process the words, the police informed me that Ian had been taken by someone pretending to be an immigration officer, leaving behind one clue: a security camera recording that captured my own father's best friend helping the fake officer. The betrayal shattered everything I knew, and when confronted, the truth unraveled in a way more shocking than anything I imagined. Ian had secretly discovered that my father's friend was involved in a major fraud scheme, and once the man realized Ian knew too much, he orchestrated the fake immigration raid to silence him forever. With my parents' help, the FBI launched an investigation, and after 2 days of fear, crying, and helpless waiting, they finally found Ian in an abandoned warehouse outside the city, injured but alive, and when I ran to him, he held my hands tightly and whispered, "I promised you I'd fight for us, even if I have to fight the whole world." And that moment changed everything because my parents finally realized the depth of his loyalty and love. The man behind the kidnapping was arrested. The case made headlines across the U.S., and Ian, not as a worker or a guest, but as the man who risked everything for truth, was granted full legal protection and a university-sponsored visa. And when he stood beside me afterward with the New York lights shining behind us, I knew our love story didn't just survive heartbreak, distance, or danger. It survived betrayal, crime, and death itself, proving that some love stories aren't written in calmness but in storms, and ours was the kind destined to shock the world before finding its forever.